Hey, Tara Carbert here, the Career Mindset Coach with video number 7 in the Just a Few Words series. Probably should have done this video about a month ago. I took a lot of June off of my Career Mindset Coach work to focus on community and focus on defining things and what I want to do with this coaching business. And so I'm a little late in getting this video out, and I'm totally okay with that because I used the time wisely. So with that said, I'm diving right into video number 7 in the Just a Few Words series. For those of you who haven't watched any of these videos, just a quick primer. This series is about times in my life when just a few words changed my world, and then some of the thoughts that were also just words which followed, and what I made that mean, and what kind of results that created for me in my life. In this series of words, I'm covering 2 major events in my life that occurred about 1 year apart, almost to the day. And I look back on this time and see all that I was thinking in the background and how that created for me some not so pleasant results in my life. So with that, I'll get started. So it's 2010, May of 2010, and I got a call from my uncle. My poor uncle gets the lovely duty of breaking bad news to me more than once in my life. And he said, she is gone. She was my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. She had been diagnosed with cancer a few months earlier, and she passed away. She had lived a very full life, which was a comforting thought for me. In the time between my mother's passing in 2001 and my grandmother's passing in 2010, she and I had become pretty close. We were spending a lot of time together when she would visit Minnesota, and we would go shopping, and we would go to the casino, and we would bake cookies, and she would have dinner waiting on the table for me when I was working way too much, and she was asking me why I wasn't home yet at 6 o'clock because, dinner's actually at 5. So this was a pretty significant loss, and the thought I started to have after a while about her passing away was, there's nothing left of Mom. And I can see now how that line of thinking really created a disconnect between me and my other family that was on my mother's side, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my family abroad in other countries, and even my sister, because I didn't want to talk about it. And I didn't want to talk about Grandma. I didn't want to talk about Mom. My dad didn't really want to talk about Grandma. And this feeling of disconnection from my mother, really, I was thinking there was nothing left. And I created that by not responding to outreach, by having bad feelings about the way that people were approaching me after my grandma died. And I was really creating some not so great things. I thankfully worked in a very supportive world, and I had coworkers and a boss that really tried to encourage me, although I didn't listen all that well, to take the time that I needed to grieve the loss of my grandmother. A year later, I had another few words hit me like a ton of bricks. And I didn't know what to do with it at the time because I wanted to dismiss it. It was after my son's birthday. My father, my sister, and I had gone together to one of his baseball games, and then we enjoyed a great meal. And in that meal, my dad made a comment to my sister, like, you need to call me about the telephone bill. Now, this is 2011, sorry. I'm losing track of my years. And at that time, you might remember that cell phone subscriptions included a text package. And I think there was some dialogue around my sister's texting frequency, something of the sort, or minutes or something. You know, there wasn't this all-you-can-eat cell phone plan like we have today. So my sister calls me and she says, Dad's not answering. It wasn't unlike my father to not answer the phone. I didn't really think anything of it the first time. And she called the next day. She said it again. And he was her biological father. He adopted me when I was 10, and I began calling him Dad when I was like 6, when he married my mom. And my thought at the time was like, well, you two maybe have some connection that I don't have with him because we're not biologically related. So let's go. I'll meet you there. Well, we met together. We knocked on the door. He didn't answer. We went in. And I went to the top of the basement stairs. He spent a lot of time down there, whether he was woodworking or yelling at the news. It wasn't uncommon that he would be hanging out in his basement. And I opened the door and I looked down and I saw him on the floor. I ran down and I touched him. And I remember yelling out, like, he's cold, stay upstairs, call 911. And he was dead. And that was, I think, a moment where my insides just shattered. And I wanted so bad to just be strong and hold it together. And so that's what I did. I kept going through the motions of life. I kept pouring myself into my work and pouring myself into my motherhood. And I never really dealt with that pain of their deaths. I had done quite a bit of healing between my mom dying and my grandma dying around losing my mom. But I still had a tendency to get into this, life's not fair, I don't deserve this mindset. And after my dad passed away, it just kind of started to slowly creep in and take over. And I could not stand to be alone with myself. I was pouring myself into work. I was overscheduling. I was overcommitting to things that I shouldn't. I was never alone. And if I was alone, I was hopping in the car and going to the casino. I was telling myself that there was no point, that none of it mattered, that I was alone, and I felt hopeless in so many areas of my life, and I was being very unkind to myself whenever I was by myself. I looked at all my flaws and all the things that I didn't have, and I really had this line of thinking that I was cursed. And the last 4 years, that's all changed. On July 30th, I will celebrate 4 years without placing a bet on anything but myself. And now I'm building a business aimed at helping women in recovery believe in success, however they define it, on their terms. So that's the Just a Few Words series. If you're interested in learning more about my career mindset coaching, I'm offering coaching to women in recovery who want to define and achieve career success. You can learn more at www.thecareermindsetcoach.com. Thanks for listening and have a great day.